What is this stuff?
You like it?
It's good.
It's kind of a dough with a goat's cheese and I don't know. It looks like bird's nest kind of stuff and a sweet syrup and nuts. It's called kanafi.
Ah.
Kanafi. And for me, it sounds like the Hebrew word knafaim,
Yes.
which is the word for bird's wings. You know, but not only the pinions of the bird, it's also the extremities of your body. Fingers, toes. It's also used for the tassels of a garment and the rays of the sun. So, you know, that scripture in Malachi 4 that says, those who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings. It's that, knafaim.
So it's sort of like God putting his wings around Jerusalem almost as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, like Jesus says, I wanted to gather you like a hen her chicks under her wings. And there's a few places in the Bible where it speaks about birds, God being like a bird. Like in Deuteronomy, it speaks about God being like an eagle that hovers over his people.
That sort of reminds me, let me just get my phone, about another part of scripture in Psalms 91, where it says, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and your ramparts.
I love that.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. Especially now, you know, in the light of threats and dangers and pestilences and plagues and so on. A few years ago, they discovered that Saddam Hussein has the largest stockpile of weapons of mass destruction, you know, chemical weapons and so on. And this coffee is terrible. It's so bitter. Let me eat some of the sweet first. So they discovered they have all these weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And I felt very fearful for Israel. I felt, you know, what if those weapons land in the hands of Hezbollah? But the Lord comforted me in a very unique way. I was looking at the scripture of where God introduces himself to Moses, you know, Exodus 34. And it says in the first part, the Lord, Lord, gracious, compassionate, slow to anger, rich in love. But that word compassionate is El Rachum, God of compassion. And when I looked into that word, it comes from the word rachama, which is a vulture. When I researched that a little bit, I read in Wikipedia that it is the animal with the strongest digestive enzymes.
Wow.
So when a vulture gets into a carcass and there's things like anthrax and hog cholera and botulinum toxin, which is the most lethal substance for man, the vulture can digest that and it can actually feed the regurgitated meat to its baby. And it was God's way of just comforting me and saying to me, you know, I can neutralize chemical warfare. Doesn't matter if it's biological war or bacteria that's in a warhead that are fired towards Israel. I am El Rachum, I'm the God that can actually neutralize. The word Rachum comes from the word Rechem, which means a womb. So it's really a protective and a motherly term. So the image that we've just brought up is a very typical image in the Egyptian temples. The two outstretched vulture wings with a sun disk in the middle and then the two cobras, Egyptian cobras in between. And I often wonder if that is part of, for those who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings.
You said something about the stork as well. What's that about?
That's right. The word for a stork, is a chassidah. Have you ever heard the word Hasidic Jews?
Yes.
That's a devoted Jew, is a Hasidic Jew. Now the word chesed is a very common word in the Hebrew Bible. You'll find it many, many places. I think more than 1,000 times. Every time it's translated as something different. Like sometimes it's mercy, sometimes it's grace, sometimes it's love, sometimes kindness. But the implication of it is always covenantal faithfulness, yes. Covenant commitment. So when God says his love towards Israel is like a stork, like for example there's a passage in Job 39 where God says to Job, hey Job, look at this ostrich bird. It's just a stupid parent, man. It lays its eggs in the sand and doesn't care that an animal can eat it or that humans can walk over it. He says, I'm not like that. I have stork's wings. The ancients had this idea about a stork that was seen as the most faithful parent. Today, if you look at National Geographic, for example, they have footage of these birds that build their nests higher every single time, every year, same mate. And the baby chick sits there all fat and should have been left the nest and start flying long time already, but the parents are still dropping water on it in the summer and trying to make an umbrella to shield it from the sun. So it has this incredible commitment to its babies, and that is what God is trying to say is Rav Chesed would mean, that's how God introduces himself to Moses. It would mean great in faithfulness, great in mercy, great in kindness. Those are two meanings, the vulture and the stork, that is hidden in the text that we as English speakers don't know.
Yes.
But it's very comforting, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very comforting.
Anyway, how's it going with your kanafi?
Sweet, very sweet.